It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today. I'm B-Ron in the hosting chair this morning, taking over from Marsh. And joining me on this Wednesday morning is my man Siege. What's up, man? How you doing? Good morning. Good to have you here.
I'm doing great. Happy Hump Day. It's 2 days better than Monday, some would say, and it's 2 days less good than Friday, so it's pretty good. Hump Day. What we like.
Yeah, look, we're in the middle here, in the middle of the week. It's going good so far. For some teams though, in the sports world, it's not going so good. We'll get to that here in a minute. Let's start by talking SWBA. The finals are over, and now comes the point in time where everybody starts talking about what can they do to improve, what can they do to get back. So we're gonna do it today. The Mavericks, Siege. What do they have to do to get back to the SWBA finals next season if they want to do that? I mean, you made it here for a reason. You're a good enough team to get here, but it didn't end up going your way in the final series. So how do you get back if you're the Mavericks for next season?
I mean, other than what, most people would consider obvious answers, like, sign a couple better role players, bolster that roster a little bit. That's what everyone's going to say immediately, right? But you want to look at the small things you can do because you don't know how the free agency market's going to look for real. You don't know who's going to be looking to come to Dallas, the cap space, all of that. But there are small things you can do. One, Derek Lively's progression in his growth, that needs to continue. I know they have him working out with Tyson Chandler. He needs to stay healthy. He needs to continue progressing his game. From what I hear, he actually has a nice jumper to him. But in his rookie season, he was told specifically by the coaching staff, you are not to take jump shots. You are working on your inside game. I hear that from an inside source, a friend of mine who works within the Mavericks organization, that was an actual rule they placed on Derek Lively, and that he actually has a nice jumper. So you kind of want to unleash Derek Lively maybe a little bit. Another thing I think is going to be big. Luka is a fantastic player, maybe one of the most talented basketball players I've ever seen. Get him conditioning a little better. Get his conditioning a little better. We know he was a little beat up there during the finals. He's got to kind of be a juggernaut. He's got to be able to play a lot of minutes for a lot of games in a row. That's how the SWBA playoffs works. They got to send him to whoever LeBron's guy is. They got to get that guy for Luka. So those are some little things I think they can do. And then obviously, go and prowl the free agent market, see if you can add some role players around Luka and Kyrie, maybe a couple more sharpshooters around there. I like their inside.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely some sharpshooters. Yeah.
They got to get those sharpshooters. But those are the big things I could think of if I'm the Mavericks that I'm trying to do this offseason.
Yeah, I think you definitely go the direction of adding some more sharpshooting, because when you get down big multiple times like they were in these Celtics games, it gets really difficult to come back quickly anyway if you can't hit three-pointers successfully. So if you can get a few guys who can do that, that'll definitely help you out on the offensive side. And I do think that, I'm surprised that the Derek Lively comments that Siege you talked about, them telling him not to take jump shots and that kind of, that's interesting to me. So yeah, if you let your guys use more of their skill set, that's a weird thing to say not to do if it's a part of your skill set, not to use it. But what do I know? I'm not the Mavericks, so what do I know? What do I know, man? So I definitely let him expand his skill set for sure. It's his rookie season. It's not a lot of times you see rookies have a big role in a kind of run like this. So definitely get him more involved.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting thing because you're right. That's not something you hear a lot. If a big man has a jump shot, hey man, don't use that. But when you look at what they're doing and you look at how it worked out, his interior presence offensively and defensively was fantastic. And that came a lot from him. He was already very talented, but they had him. I know Mark Cuban works on a mentorship program within the Mavericks, and so he has him working out with Tyson Chandler on a regular basis. And we all know Tyson Chandler, the kind of interior presence he had. So while it's definitely a very interesting kind of strategy they took with Derek Lively's progression, they wanted him to learn, understand, and get used to playing inside the paint. In the SWBA, it's a lot different than doing it in college. And as weird as I think it is, I think it kind of worked out for Derek Lively because he looked phenomenal this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of looking phenomenal, the run to one The quad round started last night, and the OGs looked phenomenal in that game, getting to their first run-to-one championship appearance with a 82-62 win over the Yacht Club. There's a lot of things you could talk about from this game, Siege. We also had a unfortunate situation at the end of the game. Yacht Club head coach Mark Black ended up being escorted out of the arena in handcuffs. That's, never really had to do with the game itself, but something happened, as the game comes to a close. What does this win say about Coach Dodge, though, and her ability to gather talent and make it all click? Because keep in mind, this is, her third season in SimWorld Prep, and all 3 of these seasons, she's had a superstar player at the front level, if you will, between Donnie Baldwin in the Ground Zero season. Last season, she had DJ Wagner. Now this season with Cooper Flagg. So she put the talent around them to make it work. What does this say about her ability to do all of those things and be the kind of coach that she is?
I mean, she's a player's coach. We've seen her get harsh. We saw it last year in the race to one. There was a couple games and during the season where it didn't go quite their way, and we saw the for lack of a better word, the hard ass of her come out.
Yeah.
But she is a player's coach. Players love playing for her. She's a joy to talk to. She's kind of a people person. She really is, and that translates to players and their families, parents, siblings, all of it. People want to play for her because of the personality that she has. And all that aside, she's a great basketball mind. She really is. Now, what I would like to see before I say that she makes it all work every year is a title. And I think they're well on their way to getting that this year. Cooper Flagg is Cooper Flagg. The Yacht. I mean, look, we're talking about they went up against the Defensive Player of the Year and Josiah Cook. And I'm not going to start by shooting off and then Josiah a bad pick for Defensive Player of the Year because he was the right pick for Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. But that's just how good Cooper Flagg is. And it's a problem. But the bigger problem, you mentioned it very briefly, but the bigger problem is that there were police waiting outside for one of the coaches of these teams after the game. Because I'm thinking in my head after I heard that the whole time, like, what if the Yacht Club had won?
Yeah.
Like, do the cops just go home and wait for the championship game? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I feel like it still happens anyway, and they deal with it, after then. I don't think that Coach Lasser makes it through this game, regardless if they win or lose. That's my personal opinion on that, honestly. It's not a good situation that either way. You can't have that kind of stuff in basketball. We need to get a lot of that stuff kind of out of SimWorld Prep and all the negativity around that. But I did want to just, again, congratulate Coach Dodge on the win, getting to her first round-one championship. And I'm excited to see who they play after tonight's game between the SimWorld Europe and the Rocky Mountain Monsters. Speaking of tonight's game, though, me and Marsh yesterday talked about, we talked about the game a little bit in particular. But if you're the OGs, Siege, I'm gonna play a game, little game here of would you rather? Who would you rather face, SimWorld Europe or the Rocky Mountain Monsters? If you're the OGs, who'd you rather play? Because personally, I feel like I would rather play Rocky Mountain over SimWorld Europe, and for me that's just because of the bigs that they have between Ivanov and Suslov. I feel like that's a worse matchup for these than Rocky Mountain is. My personal opinion. They can keep up with them offensively is what I'm saying.
I think that's super valid. But I'm gonna go the other way. One for the sake of conversation, and two for the sake of let's not forget about how good defensively Victoria Silgauskas is. Yes, the SimWorld Europe is a dangerous team. They're a team to be scared of for sure. But those flying Ivans inside. If there's any team that really has the defensive talent in the front court to deal with them, I mean, you're looking at Victoria Silgauskas, Tykedrian Walker III. Cooper Flagg also is a great big man defender. So you've got guys. And I think the thing about Rocky that scares me a little more is when they do get out running and Justin Bell does get going and Dink Pig does get going,
Mhm.
Do the OGs, what do they do? How do they guard? Because I think the OGs interior defense is more of their strong suit than their perimeter defense and their transition defense. I think we've seen when teams can get out and run on the OGs, it can cause some issues. But the thing is, to get out in transition, you got to cause turnovers, you got to force misses, and can you do that against the originators? So I am going to take the other side. I'm going to say if I'm the originators, I would rather play SimWorld Europe so that I can put Victorious Ogalskis and Tykejan Walker on those two big men. Let Cooper Flagg be a rotational defender and just kind of do my thing. I think it's a better matchup, actually.
Okay, that makes sense. Look, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I like the opposite side take that we have this morning. Is usually we tend to be on the same page here, but it's good to know that on this we're on different sides. And I think you make a good point about the bigs for the OGs, especially Ilgauskas and Walker, in particular, because we know how good Ilgauskas is and his improvement from last season to this season. But Walker in particular, he may not be as big as Ilgauskas, as big as Flagg, as big as Ivanov and Suslov, but that kid can play. From what I've seen this season, he can play. So I think that would be a more even matchup between Ivanov, Suslov, and Ilgauskas and Tykejan Walker the third. It would be a more even matchup. So that would be fun to see from that regard. But I'm thinking more so along lines of advantages from what you have to work with versus what you don't. And I feel like it would be a better matchup for the OGs to play at Rocky Mountain, because I feel like you could take advantage more of your offensive firepower. You can match the offensive firepower of Rocky Mountain and maybe even outgun them with, again, just a guy like Cooper Flagg, because we've seen it throughout the run to one. He's been unstoppable when he gets going.
Yeah, I mean, that he has. At the end of the day, whoever they end up playing, Cooper Flagg gets going, it's going to be a bad day for him. And the question to me, I guess, shifted even to which team, SimWorld Europe or Rocky Mountain Monsters, has a better chance of containing Cooper Flagg. And I'll be really blunt, Biron. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't really think either of them have a chance. Neither of them have one of those, wing defenders, one of those kind of taller, more versatile, quick defenders. Neither of those teams really boast one of those. If I had to guess, if you're Rocky Mountain, you might even be throwing Justin Bell on him and just saying go at him. You might throw Lucas Banks on him, but either way, I'm not. That's gonna be tough.
That's gonna be tough. That's the part I'm not too confident on, is who's gonna try to slow down Cooper Flagg. I don't know who that's gonna be. But look, let's get real quickly here into our wrap up, because we have one game to do real quick for our SimWorld wrap up for the day, because we only had one game yesterday. And just again, as you saw yesterday, it was a blowout, really. 82-62. OGs get the win over the Yacht Club, embarrassing them, really. There are a lot of fans that were watching not happy about the outcome, but it is what it is. Cooper Flagg and the boys went crazy. Like, especially 28 points in the win. Trey Willis on the other side had 21 points for the Yacht Club. However, he did not shoot he shot well. Bride didn't shoot well at all. 1 of 9 from three-point land, 11 points. He struggled all game, but hey, it happens, right? We're playing against the OGs. It's going to happen. But that's going to do it for our show. Thank you all very much for joining us this morning on SimWorld today. Remember, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notify bell so you know when all of our shows, games, streams, videos, all that good stuff go live for you here on SimWorld TV. Remember, we got one game tonight. We'll see who the final team will be, who's going to face the OGs in the championship game on Sunday. Until tomorrow, you guys, remember, SimWorld is the only place where you can see the game, be the game. We'll see you tomorrow.